Welcome back everyone, and it's time to go balls deep! As promised from our previous video discussing how Zenitsu became Hashira, we are now covering Tanjiro, as he easily destroyed the requirements to achieve the rank. Remember what we said in the last video?
Flashback.
To become a Hashira, a demon slayer must defeat one of the 12 demon moon, or defeat 50 demons, whilst undergoing intense training, which often takes up to 5 years to a normal person.
Okay.
But since Tanjiro is a protagonist of a shonen anime, being a normal person isn't exactly allowed, right?
Yes.
Nor was it for Zenitsu. So if you didn't know we already covered Zenitsu's journey to the Hashira rank, it must mean you need to put the notification bell on for our channel. Just like last time, we will go on Tanjiro's journey arc to arc in the entire Demon Slayer manga, explaining his abilities and power scale him so that we can see his growth into becoming a Hashira level Demon Slayer and to understand how broken Tanjiro truly is. So if there was any character in the entire history of shonen that had main character written all over them, it would be Tanjiro. As soon as we saw this man appear, we see that he had the earrings of destiny, the red eyes of destiny, the black blade of destiny, and also the mark of destiny on his forehead.
Wow.
The mark on Tanjiro's forehead is really important. As you saw in Demon Slayer Season 2 in the latest episode against Gyotaro and Daiki, this forehead mark activated and he went absolutely insane. The episode was so beautiful. It was fire!
Yes! 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 Baby! That's what I've been waiting for.
Tanjiro is literally the only character that doesn't look like an NPC from a video game when he does the entrance exam to become a demon slayer. That is because he is a descendant of the Kamado family. This family were the only people who had a connection with the first and original breathing style, the breath of the sun. This is the breath style which is the base for all other breathing styles, and they derive from it. The breath of the sun was created by Yoriichi, the man who was the closest to killing Muzan. Yoriichi passed down sun breathing through the Kamado family after Tanjiro's ancestor Sumiyoshi swore to pass down Yoriichi's techniques, his will, and his dreams to the future generations to end the curse of Muzan. Anyways, to break it all down, the sun breathing technique was passed down through the generations in the Kamado family as the dance of the fire god. That is because in chapter 192, Sumiyoshi said that Yoriichi, when performing sun breathing techniques, he looked more like a spirit rather than a human. So the fire god who they named the technique after was Yoriichi. This all ties back to Tanjiro, as he inherited not only Yoriichi's techniques but also his will to defeat Muzan and release the world from his curse, the curse of being demons. Muzan shat bricks when he first saw Yoriichi, and he knew that his power level was higher than his, and he instantly got defeated in 5 seconds. That's why whenever he sees Tanjiro, he has PTSD and he's afraid of him and his fire breath style. That's why he's sending all these upper moon demons just to get him killed. Tanjiro inherited the dance of the fire god through his father when he was a little kid. And no, this isn't some ordinary dance or a dance you see your favorite Indian uncle jamming to at a wedding. We know, come on, us Asians, we know those uncles that at the wedding. Anyway, Tanjiro's father demonstrated to him how powerful he can become when using breathing techniques. Because remember when he killed a literal bear with only 2 moves in a split second? This was shown to us in chapter 151. This, along with the memories of his ancestors, is what Tanjiro would burn into his mind, as it would help him in his adventure and push him to his limits in order to achieve his goals. Because, you know, we have to be honest, throughout the Demon Slayer manga, Tanjiro got a lot of power-ups by going to sleep and then waking up, going to sleep, waking up. So now that we have the backstory out of the way and have explained what makes Tanjiro a special main character compared to the other Demon Slayer characters, what makes him stand out, we can now begin to power scale him arc to arc, showing his insane feats and accomplishments that would make him become a high level Hashira. Starting with the final selection arc, in this Tanjiro trains for 2 years to learn the basics of being a swordsman, as well as water breathing from Urokodaki, the former water Hashira. Tanjiro has 3 unique powers that make him achieve the level of Hashira, one being his sense of smell, second being the sun breath, and the third is his strong headbutt. Let's start with Tanjiro's enhanced sense of smell that allows him to detect the locations of demons by their scent alone. He can also smell what he refers to as an opening threat. This is basically when an enemy has a slight opening in their defense, and so he smells it, which then allows him to strike at the best timing possible. This was shown to us as early as chapter 7 when he was able to catch a demon off guard, cutting his head. So as long as there's a slight opening for Tanjiro to capitalize on, he will do so. It's like basically playing Counter-Strike with wall hack. It's cheating. Tanjiro's sense of smell is so good, he can tell if a demon is in disguise without even looking at them. He's able to discern who Muzan was in front of his human wife and child while they were in the middle of a huge crowd. This was a huge moment because Muzan had been undetectable for years and years. Even the current Hashira had never encountered him or seen him. This is a crucial skill because as long as Muzan or any demon is in the vicinity, Tanjiro can smell them out. This came in handy throughout his entire journey as a demon slayer, utilizing his nose for dodging enemy sneak attacks or finding them if they had hidden using their demon blood art, such as Hatengu. Our boy can literally smell the malice and intent behind people's actions, so he knows if something is intended to harm him or not. This is because Tanjiro is able to sense emotion with his sense of smell. Tanjiro can tell what emotions people are having during events or even moments, giving him a deeper insight into the reasoning or true meaning behind people's words. For example, Tanjiro was present when the Wind Hashira Sanemi and his younger brother Genya had a conflict with each other as demon slayers for the first time. Sanemi made it seem like he disliked his brother, whilst Genya was so nervous talking to him. After their interaction, Genya explained to Tanjiro that Sanemi hates him, but Tanjiro declined this by saying he didn't get any sense of hate from Sanemi while the two interacted. Tanjiro reassured Genya that whatever he wants to say to Sanemi for closure, he should, which ended up being the truth that Genya realized in the final arc of the series against Kokoshobo. Therefore, Tanjiro's sense of smell had already put him at an advantage over all other Hashira. He has a unique trait that makes him stand out. Now, another overpowered technique that Tanjiro has is his massive, hard, veiny, strong, thick forehead.
Yeah, they had us the first half, I'm not gonna lie.
By the way, if any of you thought of something else,
by the way, you're gay.
Yes, that is correct. Tanjiro's forehead has the ultimate plot armor. This thing might as well be as hard as diamonds. And honestly, I don't know why Tanjiro doesn't spam this shit, because every time he does, someone's gonna drop. He's also very good at using it during combat as seen in chapter 7. We see how he uses his forehead, his keen sense of smell, and water breathing to perfectly behead a demon. On top of that, in chapter 45, he bloodied a pillar's face who hurt his sister with his forehead. In chapter 7, we also see that Tanjiro is able to use total concentration breathing, a type of breathing technique that when performed boosts your overall strength and speed for a short period of time. This technique, however, comes at a cost of the user's stamina, as performing this breathing technique puts a lot of strain in your body, draining all your energy to deliver more powerful attacks. Tanjiro was ahead of everyone's league, so much so that out of 40 people that joined the final selection exam, only 5 made it out alive, and that was because the other kids that survived were part of the main cast, so they also had plot armor. But even so, Tanjiro is arguably ahead of everyone else in terms of strength at this time, and he shows great potential for more room to grow. Which now brings us to the first mission arc. This is where we get to see the fruits of Tanjiro's labor in the 2 years he spent with Urokodaki in the mountains. In this mission, Tanjiro had to go against 3 demons demons which possessed demon blood arts with the help of his sister Nezuko. We know that demons are naturally strong from the moment that they are given Muzan's blood, but Tanjiro as a regular human is able to keep up with the 3 demons and her sister's demon strength. This showcases his improvement immediately from being barely able to defend against his sister in the beginning of the series in episode 1 to now matching her speed and power. Once we flash forward to the Asakusa arc, this is where we see Tanjiro's stamina and endurance being pushed to the limits. In this arc, he fights against 2 demons, one of which can create arrows that drag objects or humans towards the direction the arrow is pointing towards. When Tanjiro eventually beheads him, the demon gets so pissed that he starts launching Tanjiro in all directions so fast that if he were to crash with something, he would instantly die. However, Tanjiro starts performing consecutive water breathing techniques in order to cushion the hits. In the end, Tanjiro succeeds in surviving all the attacks but is left almost unable to breathe or even grip his sword, as shown in chapter 18. Therefore, this showcases Tanjiro's battle instincts and intelligence, where other demon slayers with a lack of experience like him at the time would have instantly died. However, he was able to adapt to survive, which is the most important skill for a demon slayer. Now let's move on to Tanjiro's physical strength feats to exemplify his inhumane level of power that puts everything into perspective that I've explained so far. Remember that this is a 15-year-old who weighs 135 pounds and is 5'4". In manga chapter 8, in the final selection exam, Tanjiro got so upset with Gendia regarding his disrespect. With only his grip strength on his arm, he crushed and broke his arm within a second after being dared to. Moving on, another strength feat that we must consider is regarding his grip strength against his sister Nezuko in manga chapter 84, which we just saw in Demon Slayer season 2. Nezuko transformed, which caused her to have supernatural abilities, and at this time she went on a rampage using almost all her power at the time. Like, remember that kick she did against Daiki, right? That was insane. Even still, Tanjiro is capable of keeping her from eating humans. Nezuko was declared to be an upper moon rank at this point, so this showcases that Tanjiro had a physical strength level that was way beyond normal. Furthermore, whilst I was reading Demon Slayer, as soon as I saw this dude jump like a ninja from Naruto with ease, I was like, hell no, this guy ain't even human anymore. Look how far he jumps to land on a rooftop. The sheer amount of leg strength Tanjiro has is anime logic. For example, in the Hashira training arc, he pushes a large rock which uses all his strength, power and muscle fibers, as he stated himself. He is easily moving at least 2,000 pounds. This is why it makes sense as to why Tanjiro is able to fling characters such as Inosuke with one arm as well as another swordsman into the air, flying him into a tree with ease. They are nothing in comparison to how heavy that rock is. So basically, it's all about Tanjiro's training, guys. His training is above and beyond. It's about
drive, it's about power. We stay hungry, we devour. Put in the work, put in the hours, and take what's ours.
One huge obstacle which was a wake-up call for Tanjiro is his fight against Rui, the Lower Moon 5. He was going to lose. However, with the help of his sister Nezuko, his Nichiren blade turned bright red and he unlocked the first move of the Dance of the Fire God, which we explained at the start of the video. This was all a stepping stone for the three protagonists, as they all realize they are weak and need more training, which is what leads to the next arc, the rehabilitation training arc. In this arc, Tanjiro does every training possible: physical, spiritual, mental training, you name it. Tanjiro learns total concentration breathing constant, which is basically just like total concentration breathing, except that you have to be able to maintain it the entire day, even whilst you're sleeping. Mastering this technique gives you a huge increase in overall speed, strength and stamina. They even state in chapter 49 that it makes a world of difference when you master this technique. In chapter 50, in the beginning of his training, Tanjiro can't even break a small gourd just by blowing inside it. But just 10 days later in the same chapter, Tanjiro was able to break the biggest of gourds with ease. Just 10 days, bruh. Like, he made more progress in 10 days than he did in 2 years. Like, think about that shit. Anime training be on some other
Shut the fuck up.
In all seriousness though, this technique is vital for any Demon Slayer with aspirations of reaching Hashira level. By mastering it, you can achieve superhuman physical attributes. For example, by using this technique, Rengoku was able to catch up to a demon that moves at the speed of light. I'll now pass on the video to Harrison as he will scale Tanjiro even further with all the other arcs that occurred in the Demon Slayer manga.
So then, moving on to absolutely nobody's surprise, Tanjiro's speed is also not human, and it is best shown in the Swordsmith Village arc. He dodges an attack that was at the speed of sound from Hantengu. Hantengu is not any ordinary demon either. Hantengu is one of the 12 demon moons. The speed of sound is 1,235 kilometers per hour, and Tanjiro managed to keep up. Tanjiro, during this fight, tanked a wave of sound that would normally have bursted somebody's eardrums and left them completely immobile. Not only that though, my boy did it again. This time against the wooden dragon that Hantengu created at point blank range. Despite the attacks being so powerful that they would leave an imprint in the ground, Tanjiro still evades and recovers from the attacks. In the fight, Hantengu also blasts Tanjiro with a wind attack which was capable of destroying large buildings in one swing. Tanjiro tanks this blast and smashes through walls, but even when it happens again and again, he still gets back up, making him insanely durable, to the point where he eventually matches a Hashira when he is shown to have the ability to stand under a waterfall that is said to be able to break someone's neck with ease just by its force. But during the Swordsmith Village arc, one of Tanjiro's most impressive feats was his ability to not only spar against, but also destroy the Yoriichi doll, which even Muichiro faced up against, one of the most talented Hashira to ever exist, being a direct descendant of Yoriichi's twin brother, Kokoshibo. It is after this that we see Tanjiro grow more during the Hashira training arc. There are multiple levels to each of these different tests, carried out each by one of the Hashira, each focusing on certain physical attributes to enhance the user's capabilities such as fitness, flexibility, speed, etc. Although most of the other characters in the story view this training as living hell, Tanjiro displays what makes him better than the rest by instead viewing this as an opportunity to grow stronger. This is because he has every aspect of a demon slayer that needs to match the will of Yoriichi. Tanjiro has an unbreakable will to never give up and enact Yoriichi's will to kill Muzan. I mean, think about it. Even in the early days when facing Enmu, the only way out of his dream demon art was to commit seppuku. And my guy did it repeatedly over and over again to keep charging at him, eventually defeating his ass. We have previously covered this phenomena in our video explaining why Tanjiro has the black sword, so I highly suggest for you to go and check that out if you haven't already, and if you feel like it, that'd be pretty cool. But this Hashira training put Tanjiro on another level, because the fact that in such a short amount of time, just a little over 2 years in fact, Tanjiro was able to take part in Hashira level training, further proving his strength. This is because most people who become Hashira only do so after 5 or so years of harsh training. It's only the extremely talented who manage to achieve this faster, at around 2 years, such as Muichiro and Tanjiro. Tanjiro already possessed the abilities required to become a Hashira at this point, for example constantly maintaining a full focused breath, which allowed him to instantly heal internal wounds and bleeding when Rengoku taught him, or when he strengthened his muscle fibers around his broken bones against the drum demon. Even when we look at Demon Slayer Season 2 against Daki, he used recovery breath to heal himself. Another solid piece of evidence that Tanjiro was already Hashira level in this arc is the fact that in chapter 130, Giyu mentions that he is not the water Hashira. In fact, there isn't one. He is angry at the fact that Tanjiro changed his breathing style and had to focus on different battle stances, because he in fact wanted Tanjiro to take on the role of the water Hashira. This means that even the characters recognized Tanjiro's capability and that he was meant to be rewarded that rank already. We then move on to the final arc. The events of this training leveled Tanjiro up completely, who going into the final fight against Muzan was an entirely different beast thanks to 4 different things: the transparent world, the sun breath and the combination with his red blade, and the Demon Slayer mark. Tanjiro's Demon Slayer mark appeared on him 3 times in the series, and he won every single time. He was the first person to actually unlock the power. Tanjiro's Demon Slayer mark gives him a significant edge because it is his will that makes it appear. The will of Yoriichi that was passed down to all Hashira to kill Muzan. Once the mark is acquired, Demon Slayers gain access to a number of extremely effective skills that significantly aid them in their battles against demons. Breathing style users already possess amazing strength and speed, but the Demon Slayer mark significantly enhances these abilities whilst also providing access to more effective and efficient breathing techniques. Additionally, the mark enables the use of the red Nichiren sword ability, a lethal technique capable of slaying even the strongest of the 12 Kazuki by harnessing the sun's strength and halting their regeneration. This major factor, combined with the access to the transparent world, puts Tanjiro at another level. The transparent world is a space where people can foresee the movement of living beings through their blood flow. The transparent world is a high level technique, and when in this hypothetical world, the user's bloodlust is completely gone. Tanjiro beheaded Akaza by going into the transparent world, which gave him a significant advantage against him, as Akaza uses his blood demon art to sense an enemy's attack based on bloodlust. When Tanjiro entered the transparent world, Akaza's instincts and every cell in his body told him that he needed to kill Tanjiro now because he could tell something in him had changed and that he was dangerous. Basically, Akaza realized he was facing the main character, and then he shit himself. Akaza easily beat Rengoku, and by doing some basic power scaling, we can see that Tanjiro being acknowledged by him must mean that Tanjiro at this point had already reached a similar level of Hashira power, right? But to put it into perspective on how much Tanjiro had grew as a Demon Slayer, in the Mugen Train arc, Tanjiro stated that he can't even keep up with Rengoku and Akaza's attacks. It was too fast and cannot be perceived by his own eyes. However, 100 chapters later, once he fights Akaza himself, he was able to dodge his attacks and actually put up a fight. Later on, when he unlocked the transparent world, he was able to dodge a supposed unavoidable attack from Akaza, which leads us into our next point about Tanjiro's compatibility with sun breathing. Tanjiro's father was able to teach him about the transparent world and the Hinokami Kagura because of the Kamado's family connection to Yoriichi. Yoriichi, being the only Demon Slayer to almost fully kill Muzan and make him run in fear, was a family friend of the Kamado family in the past. Sumiyoshi Kamado is Tanjiro's ancestor, and he was saved by Yoriichi as a child and grew up listening to his stories. Yoriichi created the sun breathing technique and all other base breathing techniques in order to teach other Demon Slayers who couldn't use the sun breathing technique, meaning that the user of sun breathing can also utilize all of the other techniques too, due to them being nothing more of a derivative of it. The Hanafuda earrings Tanjiro wears are also Yoriichi's and have been passed down by the Kamado family for generations to continue his will, as Yoriichi had no children of himself to pass down his teachings to. These were the things Tanjiro's father was trying to show him as a child before he died, but Tanjiro also had gained access to Sumiyoshi's memories, which helped him gain a grasp of the sun breathing technique. This, above all, makes Tanjiro's enemies fear him, especially Muzan, because he became the most like Yoriichi. Tanjiro was already dangerous with his natural intellect, insane physical attributes, and his supernatural sense of smell, giving him the upper hand against most demons. But his compatibility with the sun breathing technique was something else entirely, meaning he naturally was born with the ability to kill Muzan. He had the natural skill to learn the foundation of all breathing techniques, and boy did he. After all, Tanjiro is also well versed in water breathing too, thanks to the teaching of Urokodaki. That is OP as hell when you think about it for a Demon Slayer. Being able to switch breath styles is insane because each one is a different type of flow and motion. So Tanjiro was able to change how he is breathing mid-fight to match his enemy. For example, some Hashira struggle to learn another's breath style and instead result in creating their own, such as Mitsuri, who struggled with Rengoku's flame breathing, thus creating love breathing instead. Tanjiro, however, has shown his ability to diversify his arsenal and use multiple multiple. Giyu was impressed to see Tanjiro using flame breathing style techniques after becoming a Demon Slayer using water style techniques during their fight with Akaza. He looked in shock as Tanjiro dodged Akaza's initial advances. He also copied Zenitsu's thunder breathing in chapter 125 to circulate power in his legs to counteract his injuries. This immense talent, combined with his use of the transparent world, allowed him to even behead Akaza whilst fighting him head on, taking out an upper rank 3 in a swift move, even though Akaza tried to regenerate. Tanjiro, using a sun-breathing form, automatically escalates him above the Hashira. But to put the icing on the cake, Tanjiro actually taps into other breathing forms whilst fighting Muzan, in order to perfect the sun-breathing attacks to deal significant damage. Muzan automatically sees Tanjiro as a major threat to his existence, meaning Tanjiro is the second Demon Slayer in history to make Muzan believe that his life was genuinely in danger. Tanjiro has the best and strongest feats against Muzan compared to any other character. I mean, he is the main character after all and has all the buffs required to do so. To name a few of his feats for power scaling purposes, we can mention how he dodged strikes from Muzan multiple times even though he states that they are too fast to see and has to rely on his instincts to dodge them. Remember, this is the Demon King Muzan we're talking about here, who at the time could blitz an entire platoon of Demon Slayers with ease, which clearly means that Tanjiro is on another level compared to everyone else in reactionary speed by adapting his fighting style to Muzan's patterns. The Sun Breath that he eventually utilizes to defeat Muzan was way beyond what anybody else could do. Tanjiro realizes that he has to use the 13th form, where in Demon Slayer Season 2 we see in the Entertainment District arc, initially he would try to use this technique, but Tanjiro would feel an immediate recoil from using the two techniques in a row, but eventually can chain them together many more times without stopping. After he mastered the chaining from the first techniques, Tanjiro said that the pain from exertion made his limbs feel like they would fall off. However, he eventually was able to pin Muzan against a wall after using all of these forms. In the 13th form, Tanjiro continuously performs all 12 techniques of the breathing style in repetitive succession to increase the accuracy and agility of his movements. This form was created solely to kill Muzan, since the repetition of all 12 forms aims to destroy Muzan's 12 vital organs, 7 hearts and 5 brains. These all move freely inside of him thanks to his shape-shifting ability. Therefore, as you can see, Tanjiro has all the makings of being the strongest Demon Slayer, having familial connections to Yoriichi and the dance of the Fire God being such an important period in his life. Tanjiro is the closest thing we have to Yoriichi and therefore scales as one of the strongest people in the entire series. Tanjiro is not only clearly Hashira level, but he is probably the 5th or 6th strongest character in the entire manga. Yoriichi, Muzan and Kokoshibo are clearly stronger than him, but the stone pillar Gyomei scales slightly higher in other categories, but loses in other feats such as speed or reaction time. Now you're probably wanting to know what Tanjiro did with all this Hashira level clout, right? Well, you should probably go and watch this video on how Tanjiro got married at the end of the manga and why he fell in love with Kanao.